Hey guys, it's 6:33 p.m. on November 27th, 2017, and I thought I would bring you guys a little peek into some of the stuff I do all day since I am in the midst of translating the Greek Old Testament from Greek into English. And occasionally I will come across videos like this Daniel 243 project. And even though I haven't dug into Daniel, I'm actually kind of holding off on Daniel. I did do this verse today to compare them, and it never fails. It absolutely never fails. All these things that people bring huge theology into in their study of end times, like Nicholson 1968 and Gans, and even this poor girl right here, a whole hour and 10-minute video, and nobody bothered to see if there's any difference between the Greek and Hebrew. It just kind of blows my mind because anyway, the long and the short of it is, guys, the Christians did not have a Hebrew Bible until the Jews of the 11th century actually printed one finally, which means from 280 BC until like the 12th century, there was no Hebrew Bible. Okay, God's not an idiot. From 280 BC until the 11th or 12th century, God had people using the exclusively the Greek Bible. Even in Jesus's day, that's why they say about Jesus, they're like, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Well, you have to understand that the letters are literally letters. Hebrew was nothing but consonants. It was a consonantal language with no vowels and no vowel points, and so it couldn't. And nobody was speaking Hebrew. The only two people who spoke Hebrew in the early church were Origen and Jerome. And go look up what kind of flaming heretics those guys were. So anyway, so for the first 14 or 12 centuries of Christianity, this wasn't what they saw. This is not what they saw in Daniel 2:4-3. Whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Well, I did, like I said, I did this translation today of Daniel 2:4-3. So let me give you a very good indication of why we need to know what the Greek says, because the details here are so rich. And Gans and Mickelson 1968, if you guys are watching this, would you please consult the Greek? Because let's just take a look here is what it says here. And like you beheld the iron intercoursed to the earthen vessel. Okay, let's go back to the Hebrew and see what it says. And as he saw the iron mixed. You guys, there is a huge difference between intercourse and mixing. I can mix taco salad, okay, but there's only one thing you do with intercourse. It's a very specific participle here of the verb intercourse. And let me just show you. I'll use Alpheus, which links to links to the Greek English lexicon for the Liddell Scott English lexicon, the Liddell Scott Greek English lexicon, and it's to have intercourse with. So this is a verb participle of intercourse. Okay, it's very specific. Anyway, and like you beheld the iron intercoursed to the earthen vessel of clay, mingled, they will be into races of humans. Okay, mingled, they will be into genesen anthropon, guys. Races of humans. Okay, that's a little bit more than just they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Okay, that's like a metaphor. But here, this is no metaphor. This is quite literally saying that they are going to become races of humans. Okay, this is very serious what they're saying here. Now, it doesn't mention anything in the Hebrew. What they say here after the Hebrew is that, but they will not cleave one to another. Well, let's see what it says in the Greek. Does it say they will not cleave one to another? No, it actually says that they will not be of nuantes, which is of one mind, nor will they be in agreement with each other. See? But they will not be of one mind, neither will they agree one with another, just as iron is not capable of being mixed with clay. So here's the deal. The Greek, the Hebrew gives you the gist of it, okay? But people like Mickelson 1968 and Gans are actually pointing to this very specific thing that by luck they just don't know that it says this in here. But it actually says that the iron will intercourse with the earthen vessels, and that they will mingle into becoming races of human beings. that won't be of one mind. They're not going to agree with each other, you know? So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you because this was I haven't hit Daniel. Like I said, I haven't hit Daniel very hard yet. There's a lot of different parts to it. Oh, but here, let me just read you what the guys over at the Nets translation have come up with, and I'll point out why I don't. Look, if the Nets translation was good enough, I would not be translating the Bible by myself. But the reason I'm doing my own translation is because the guys in academia correct to the Hebrew. Okay, so they're gonna come across a word like this one here, anamemai menon, right here, which is the intercourse participle, and they're not gonna think like Gans or Nicholson 1968. They're not gonna think intercourse. What they're gonna do is they're gonna correct it to the Hebrew, which says the word mixed, and everybody loses the depth of the Greek. What they put here is, and as you saw the iron admixed. Well, anamemai menon does not mean admixed, but that's their interpretation. They interpret it to a bias of the Hebrew Bible, which, like I said, the Hebrew Bible wasn't even invented until the 12th century AD. At least it wasn't in the hands of any Christians, and unless God's a complete idiot and totally forgot to give us a copy of the Bible, for the first 12 centuries of Christianity, and then he asked us to go rely on the very men who killed his son, I don't think that's an appropriate way to do our hermeneutics and our eschatology especially. Anyway, so let me just finish this. As you saw, the iron admixed with clayware, they will be co-mixed, but they do agree with me on this one, in races of humans. But they will not be in agreement or well disposed to one another, even as iron is not able to be blended with earthenware. Okay, so they get a 50%. I give them a 50% on their translation, just because I do think that word anamemai is that participle there is such a big deal because it means intercourse. Intercourse is very specific to procreation, you guys. This is not a it's not a word to be ignored. But anyway, so I just thought I'd share that with you. No false flags, no news. I don't have anything super exciting, except for, to me, this is even more exciting than any of that stuff because this is the Word of God.